castle building project, I did the ballista. The ballista was a siege weapon based on a gigantic crossbow that when you pulled or twisted on the wheels, it would pull back the cock and they would hammer it down with a nail. So then when they released the nail, it would shoot forward and the arrow would come out. There were two main styles of the ballista used by both sides of the warfare. Mine is for the offensive side because it has a blunt arrow and it was used to tear down the walls, while the defensive side could use it with sharp arrows so it could pierce many infantrymen at once. They would use gigantic tree logs, soak them in water and bend them back to make the bow arms and gigantic tree logs cut with holes in them as a bow body.
Hi, I'm Marcello, and for the castle project, I was in charge of building a catapult. This type of catapult is a mangonel. The mangonel was designed by the Romans before the Middle Ages, but used up until the end of the Middle Ages. Mangonels were usually powered by large ropes such as this. Mangonels were more powerful than trebuchets, but not as accurate. They were usually built on site, but they had a wheel so they could be rolled around the castle and fired at wherever they needed to be fired at on the castle. Thanks for watching.
Hi there. I'm Raphael, and I was responsible for the siege tower. The siege tower was used to, it would be rolled up and to the castle walls, and it was high enough so that the opposing army could cross over to the castle walls. And it would have many levels on it and a ladder going up. It also had wheels, but it would be built on the site of the battle because it couldn't move that well over mountainous regions. And so in order to get over the castle walls, they would have a little drawbridge. This could also be called a siege engine or a belfry, and these things were used from 300 BC up until the Middle Ages. Alright, bye.
Hi, my name is Joey. I was responsible for building the sappers in the siege weapons team. So, sappers are basically miners that would try and dig a tunnel under the castle wall and attempt to penetrate it. The goal wasn't to fit the entire sieging army through the hole, it was to get one person to open the gates for everybody to get in. So, the sappers couldn't completely dig out in the open. So, what they would have is they'd have a barrier to stop falling arrows and flammable objects from hitting them. So you'll notice that the top is covered in a leather that would stop flammable objects and allow them to dig through. And almost every single time that the tunnel was dug successfully, the sieging team won the battle.
My name is Matt, and I was responsible for the making of the battering ram. So the battering ram dates back to ancient Rome and was used to smash down the gates or walls of any castle. So the battering ram first started out as a huge log that took 10 to 20 soldiers to carry and slam against the walls. Then it later evolved to having the penthouse or a body that it was hung from to protect the soldiers from any enemies that were trying to hit them with bow and arrows or rocks or fire. Later, it evolved to having wheels so it could roll into the side. And it was tipped with either iron or metal cap or head of an animal, so it had further penetration. And so, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ethan, and for the castle building project, I was responsible for the towers and walls. The castle walls were at least 12 feet high and 8 to 20 feet thick. The castle wall usually had a ledge near the top of the castle for bowmen, and so they could drop things like rocks and hot oil. The bowmen would hide behind what is called a crenellation, which resembles teeth at the top of the castle walls. Castle towers were used to see enemies coming from a distance. Castle towers had small windows for bowmen to shoot out of. And to enter the castle tower, they usually had a staircase or a ladder.
Hi, my name is Emily, and for the castle, I was responsible for building the moat, the portcullis, and the drawbridge. The drawbridge was basically a bridge that could be drawn up and made into a door. It was made from wood and logs that were put together. It could be opened or lowered by using chains and ropes by being pulled up, or it could be used by using weights. The weights would be under the drawbridge, and when a board was pulled out, it would go up. The moat was used to defend the castle, and it stopped people from digging under the castle and destroying the wall. It also stopped battering rams from hitting the drawbridge and going through the walls. The portcullis was made out of wood and it had iron tips. It would be lowered when enemy armies were coming. And the end.
My name is Cassandra, and for the castle project, I did the keep.
The keep was a large building and was used as a last resort during times of war. It was also a stronghold, a storehouse, and housed the nobles of the castle. The bottom floor was normally the storehouse, and it had weapons and food. There was also normally, but not always, a chapel, a great hall, and a kitchen. The top floor was the solar. It was the rooms for the nobles. This is the watchtower, and it was the highest spot in the whole castle, and therefore had a great view of the surrounding area. The garderobe was the medieval version of a toilet. It was a hole that went down a long chute, and someone had to clean the bottom out. The dungeon was a room used to hold prisoners. The only entrance was a trapdoor in the ceiling, so it was near to impossible to escape without outside help. It was also called the oubliette, which is the French word for to forget, because people were put in there and forgotten about.
Hi, my name's Shamali. For the castle project, I made the Great Hall and the courtyard. The Great Hall was where the people in the castle would meet for meetings or for meals. They would typically eat pigs, fish, fruit, bread, and poultry. Only the lords would have salt because they considered everyone else beneath it because it was so expensive. The Great Hall was decorated with flags and shields. Unlike all the other rooms in the castle, the Great Hall had large windows. It was inside the courtyard, so they didn't have to worry about things penetrating through the walls. Because of the great windows, there would be benches beneath them so people could see outside. The courtyard was the space inside the castle walls. Inside, they would typically raise animals, like pigs and sheep. They would also have trees that would grow fruit, a well, and sometimes gardens. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne, and I was responsible for the kitchen in the castle project. Inside, there was a cauldron and a spit that was for roasting food. There was a pit that the fire was in. They would typically eat fruits, vegetables, dairy, and some fish. The walls were originally made of wood, but because there was fire burning inside, they didn't want the walls to burn down, so they turned into stone. Because there was smoke inside, they didn't want it to be it went out the door and out a small hole in the roof. The kitchen was big enough to hold 3 to 4 oxen at one time.
Hi, my name is Allie, and for our castle project, I was responsible for the chapel. The chapel was usually 2 stories high and made of stone, and it had stained glass windows. And on the bottom level sat the servants and commoners, and on the top sat the Lord and his family and dignitaries.
and the chapel was known to be one of the most finely decorated places in the castle, with colored furniture, elaborate ornaments, and cloth and fabric.